Look, look, look. You aren't prepared for this. I planned this video differently. I whispered, ignore it. Avoid it. Let obscurity claim it. But I witnessed Nike's move. I witnessed the media's mask. And I decided someone must speak. Someone must arrive. And since ESPN lacks the spine for truth, since First Take performs a jig like Stephen A. at a formal party, since every corporate sports outlet received the script to remain silent, it must be me right now, right here in this seat, raw. We dissecting 2 footwear containers tonight. One features a gold seal. Clean, flawless, resting under a focused beam in Nike's Oregon archive like a basketball relic. Reads CC1 sample on the lid. You recognize CC1's meaning? Caitlin Clark 1. The brand. The debut. The one they developed for 18 months while everyone looked elsewhere. The second box, man. The second box is gritty. Splitting at the edges. Stickers falling away. Reads I won in ghosted ink like it's been rotting in a cellar since the previous decade. Nobody touches it. Nobody requests it. Nobody even recounts its existence until some sneaker analyst found the evidence. Now, here is what the streets aren't discussing yet, but they will. Tonight, one of these models will anoint a court goddess. The other is going to be erased. Shipped to discount clearance dumpster bins. And the distinction between them isn't about padding tech. Isn't about palette selections. Isn't about Max AirPods or carbon structures. The distinction is a lesson Nike absorbed painfully. A reality the WNBA is still navigating. A reality that's going to flip the entire status of women's hoops inverted and rattle it by its heels. Imagine this moment. A dressing room, hollow, nobody present, just one athlete on the wood, mobile active, reading. And she realizes it. She observes Jason Tatum sharing a photo with Caitlin Clark's Kobe PE edition tied tight. She observes Anthony Edwards acting similarly. She observes LeBron James. LeBron James with a Heat icon on a post pointing at those logos. She observes Luka. She observes Ja. She observes every NBA icon who matters wearing the same design, honoring the same newcomer, fueling the same hype engine. And then she flings that mobile across the tiles so violently it shatters the floor. But what if, and I require you to absorb this, what if the sneaker that transformed basketball wasn't even a signature yet? What if the instant that inverted this whole game occurred before the cartons reached stores, before advertisements aired, before Nike issued the initial check? What if it ignited with a single capture? Stay tuned because the commerce statistics are about to crash harder than a deep jumper. And once you witness what I'm about to display, once you grasp what truly transpired behind locked doors, once you evaluate the finance, the pride, the resentment, the collapse, you're going to view this league differently. You're going to view Nike differently. You're going to view heritage differently. Don't skip. Don't scroll. Don't you dare disconnect. We're diving. Let me set the context correctly because if you don't grasp where these two originated, you aren't going to grasp why one of them scaled a peak and the other one plummeted. Aya Wilson, 6 feet 4 inches, South Carolina star, NCAA victor with Dawn Staley in 2017, top overall choice to the Las Vegas Aces. Framed like she was forged in a factory to rule this league. And rule she did. Dual WNBA MVP. Successive wins. Olympic gold winner, WNBA victor, finals MVP. Every trophy you can gather, she gathered. Every record you can pierce, she pierced. For years, this athlete was the absolute finest player in women's sports. Nobody was clashing. Nobody was doubting. When she entered the building, they yelled GOAT. When she exited, they yelled it louder. And she merited it. I'm taking nothing from her history. That history is metal. That history is reinforced. You can't clash with titles and MVPs and gold honors. You can't doubt averages and skill and tournament games. Aya Wilson gave the effort. Aya Wilson led teams. Aya Wilson was a benchmark. But here is the reality about being a benchmark. Eventually, someone else will attempt to create a newer one. Enter Caitlin Clark. Iowa shooter, 6-foot sniper with distance that defies logic. Joined college ball and instantly began altering the record archives. NCAA leading career scorer, men's or women's. 3-point marks falling every season. Assist totals that had experts searching 1980s film for parallels. 2 straight national final appearances. Packed stadiums wherever she traveled. Every Iowa home night. Standing room only. Every road trip. Rival crowds arriving just to observe her drills. And it wasn't just the data. It was a flair. The bravado, the assurance that declared, "I'm going to shoot from 35 feet and you're going to watch it fall." She possessed the spark. She possessed the universal charm. She possessed elders in Iowa who never viewed hoops suddenly purchasing gear. She possessed children in school mimicking fades in their lanes because they desired to be her. She was a mood, a shift, a marvel. And when the 2024 WNBA selection arrived, first overall choice, Indiana Fever. Record cable marks for the event. Record crowds at Fever nights. Record shirt revenue. Record digital engagement. Everything she gripped turned to wealth. And she hadn't even clocked a pro second yet. Now, here is where it becomes spicy. Because while all this occurred, while Clark was fueling her flight, Wilson was watching from Las Vegas with her arms folded. She possessed 2 MVPs. She possessed a title. She possessed the history. But every time she checked her mobile, every time she watched the screen, every time she moved through digital feeds, all she witnessed was Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark clips. Caitlin Clark talks. Caitlin Clark essays. Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark. And something turned. You could witness it in the talks. The stance, the tiny remarks that looked harmless but possessed stings, the cold energy, the mocks, the she hasn't proved anything yet vibe. It was faint initially, then it wasn't. The protector of women's ball was about to become the antagonist. Because when Nike offered them both the same deal length, same duration, same setup, same route to a personal sneaker, only one of them took up the instrument, prepared to craft legacy. The other one took it up, prepared to erase another's. Okay, so you possess the history. You possess the frame. 2 icons on a crash path, one peaking, one legendary. Nike playing both angles because that's what Nike does. They aren't faithful to athletes. They faithful to market share. They faithful to profit targets. They faithful to that logo selling gear. But everything was still stable until the capture surfaced. See, there's this underground shoe audit that occurs every NBA year. Dedicated shoe fans and stat experts monitor what footwear hits the hardwood. Every contest, every athlete, every variant. They list it. They share it. They study it like finance experts checking market trends. And for years, nobody outside the sneaker circle took notice. It was just hobby stuff, spreadsheet vibes. Then someone gathered a week's worth of stats and shared it to socials. 42 sets in 1 week, 7 days, 14 contests worth of stats. 42 different NBA athletes were detected wearing Caitlin Clark's Kobe PE edition, the joint sneaker Nike released that highlighted Clark's name beside the Kobe legacy line. 42. That's no accident. That's no chance. That's no Nike forcing gear on unwilling athletes. That's pros actively deciding to wear a WNBA debutante variant over anything else open to them. You recognize how many NBA athletes were wearing Aya Wilson's signature shoe that same week? 1. Bam Adebayo, Miami Heat. And half the shoe world wasn't even certain if it was an Aya brand or just a basic Nike sneaker he pulled off the shelf by chance. 1 capture, 1 audit file, and the entire footwear world ignited. Twitter went insane. Quote posts piling on quote posts. Slams everywhere. And I don't mean the hoops. This is humiliating. How does a 2-time MVP possess less court presence than rookie? Nike dropped the opportunity and handed it to Iowa. The jokes started moving. The links became vicious. Side-by-side images displaying the 42 against the 1, ESPN visuals flashing crimson like a financial crash. And here is the bit the main press didn't highlight because they were too busy trying to remain polite. This wasn't random athletes either. This was icons. This was all-stars. This was team leaders voluntarily tying up a WNBA player's craft. That doesn't happen. That never happens. The multi-league support has always moved one way. NBA down, WNBA following. But Clark flipped the flow. She had the men wearing her gear. She had LeBron's approval. She had Kevin Durant sharing the Heat icon and a shocked face and the perfect mark all in one post. Aya Wilson had Bam Adebayo, perhaps, and she witnessed every single update, every single remark, every single joke that arrived at her door like a bomb because the leader of rebuttals was about to log in and ignite the fuse herself. Look, if there's one thing digital media has explained, it's this. Never post frustrated. Never do it. Never start the app when your pulse is high. Never write with trembling hands. Never hit post when your mind is still absorbing the pain because the web doesn't forget. The web doesn't excuse. The web is a historical dig location where every bad opinion gets saved for eternity and found whenever someone desires to sink you. Aya Wilson did not get this message. First post 11 at night. Delayed not denied. Okay, sure. They could signify anything. Could be about the coming year, the coming game. Internal growth, no issue. Then the next post, just no real ones honor real ones. Always getting tense. Still somewhat excusable. Then the next post, when you've actually earned honors, you don't require praise from people who can't even say your name correctly. And the stream exploded because that was a strike. That was pinpoint. That was tracked. No mystery, no space. That was the two-time MVP of the WNBA taking aim at the newcomer who was stealing her market in the sneaker world and firing on main. But she didn't quit. IG lived on, standing in what appeared like her suite, fires lit, scents burning, staring directly into lens, speaking for 37 minutes total. And within that 37 minutes, she released the bomb everyone was expecting and nobody desired to hear. Ethnicity plays a part. Let's not pretend like it doesn't. Let's not pretend like we don't recognize why certain individuals get certain paths and certain individuals get missed. I've been the finest for years, but I don't appear a certain way and that transforms things. That transforms everything. And look, I aren't going to sit here and claim like ethnicity doesn't matter in society. I aren't going to claim like prejudice doesn't exist. I aren't going to claim like there isn't recorded history of certain players receiving better paths while others get missed. That's true. That's real. That's certain. But here is the thing about using that card. You better ensure it's the winning hand. You better ensure the frame is clean. You better ensure you aren't resting on fragile soil when you throw that bomb because the blast will catch you too if you aren't placed right. And Wilson was resting on shifting sand because of companies that were weighing deals. They vanished. The PR group rushing to arrange damage control talks. Cold silence from Nike's sales group. Every update she shared after that made the pit deeper. Every tag she added appeared more frantic. Every reply strike she attempted got buried into nothingness. She was sinking and every move to the top just drove her deeper down. Then Nike's quarterly file arrived like a size 16 crush. Now the main press had to address it. See, for weeks they were circling this. Light reports, soft wording, a competition forming in the WNBA. Friction grows between lead players. All that sterilized corporate safe sponsors won't cancel ads phrasing. But when Nike's quarterly profit mentioned Clark PE specifically as a propellant of Hoop's segment money, when they cited her by name to investors, when the stock shifted based on her shoe sales, the media couldn't hide no more. Divided screen news talk layout. You recognize the setup. Two talking heads with rival views, a host pretending to be fair, and 30 seconds each to yell over each other. And for the first time in WNBA news history, these talks got fiery. Wilson used the race card wrongly, and it's losing her the support. You can't ignore lived reality just because it's awkward. Nobody's ignoring anything, but the stats are the stats. The stats are built by systemic bias. The stats are built by court charm. Back and forth, and the crowd tore right down the center. 50-50 on social media. Votes frozen. Reply chains appearing like battle zones. Relative group chats getting tense. Fantasy league posts turning into social debates. Wilson's side requested an urgent talk with Nike heads. Her agent, her director, her PR group, her legal counsel, all of them on a Zoom link with Oregon trying to protect a bond, trying to get before the story, trying to mask the ruin into something fixable. And while all that mess was moving, you recognize what Caitlin Clark was doing. Nothing. Stillness, signal dark, no posts, no stories, no talks, no faint strikes, no vague updates, just game film, drill clips, and appreciation notes to followers. She was playing hoops while Wilson was playing the press, and the difference was so sharp it became its own story. Observe Clark's poise. She's letting her skills speak. That's the spirit of a victor right there. Every expert, every voice, every former athlete turned analyst began making links. And it wasn't fair. Nothing about news reports is ever fair, but it was occurring. Wilson's ruin was getting placed against Clark's stillness, and the visuals were crushing. Then the StockX stats surfaced. Clark's Kobe PE market value up 300%. 300 individuals paying $700 for sneakers that costed at $220. Q lists for variants that hadn't even launched yet. Foot shop and sports staff leaking that stock was getting guarded under harder rules than gaming launches. Wilson's signature 30% under cost. You could enter any shop, any site, any app and find them cheaper than start day. StockX ads getting lowered by the hour. eBay bids ending with single-digit sums. Facebook Marketplace ads resting unvisited for weeks. This wasn't about colors anymore. This wasn't about padding tech or athlete promo funds. This was about personality. This was about brand value. This was about who you desired to link with, who you desired to back, who you desired on your feet when you walked into the gym. And the crowd had spoken. But here is the thing about mountains. They shake before they blow. The shocks alert you. The smoke hints something larger. And all this mess, all this heat, all this press war, it was just a lead because the core was about to erupt. New Heights show, the Kelsey brothers' largest sports show in the land. Millions of plays, that Philly heart, that Super Bowl truth, that raw, unpolished, we don't care about the league script mood, and they signed Caitlin Clark. Now, this was her first major non-WNBA media spot since the whole shoe war exploded. Everyone recognized it was coming eventually. Everyone recognized she'd have to face it somehow. But nobody expected what truly occurred. Travis enters first, gives his start. Jason makes a joke about the mic setup. Basic things. Then they bring her out and the stream goes wild. 40,000 live viewers before she even speaks a word. 60,000 within 5 minutes. By the time they reach the heart of the talk, they're clearing 6 figures live. And she just speaks. No mask, no PR-vetted speech points, no practice dodges. Just Caitlin Clark resting in a metal chair stating exactly how the CC1 was created. We started the design 18 months back, right after my second year. Nike traveled to Iowa City with a whole deck, and I told them I didn't want another generic signature. I didn't want my image pasted on old tech. I desired to create something from zero. Jason Kelsey leans in. From zero. From zero. We partnered with their tech materials lab. New foam base they'd never used prior. We checked 12 different sole models. I shredded samples and drills until they literally broke apart, then returned them with feedback. We fixed the lace system 4 times because I'm picky about how my grip feels. This sneaker is 18 months of me being a difficult partner. Travis chuckles. You're telling me Nike permitted a college kid control their craft flow? I'm telling you Nike absorbed real fast that if they want my name on anything, it better show what I actually trust in because my name's going to be on it eternally. My kids are going to see it. But my grandkids are going to see it. I'm not placing my seal on some lazy cash grab. And then she reaches under the wood and pulls out a model. Not a store version. Not a test sample. A model. Handwritten notes and ink on the sole. Guide marks on the outer rubber. The real object, the relic. And she just places it on the wood like it's nothing. Stream ignites. Remarks moving too fast read. Fire icons, shocked faces, all cap shouting. Jason grabs it, turns it over. Can I go ahead? And this man, Super Bowl hero, future Hall of Fame anchor, pulls out a blade and slits the shoe in half live on lens. They study the cushioning unit. They count the foam bands. They check the carbon sheet. They analyze the physics like it's an ESPN bit, except it's 2 stars nerding over basketball tech. Travis, this is truly wild. Caitlin, this is what transpires when you grant the player real voice, not group-tested voice, not here's 3 paths. Select one voice. Real power, real partnership, real stake in the game, and then she releases the bomb. Nike verified last week 9-figure start budget. Super Bowl spot. Travis Kelce cameo. Travis Scott music. Global push across 43 nations. This isn't a WNBA sneaker start. This is a basketball sneaker start. No limits, no notes. Jason drops the split model. And you're not concerned about the other stuff, the heat. Caitlin waits, takes a breath, selects her words carefully. I can't govern what other people claim about me. I can't govern stories or hot views or what gets traffic. All I can govern is what I give into this sport and what I give into this item. When a child saves for months to purchase the CC1, I want them to feel like they received something unique. I want them to feel like the individual whose name is on that sneaker actually valued what they were holding. I don't build sneakers for Twitter. I build sneakers for the gym. Shift to Aya Wilson. Wherever she was watching, whatever lens she was viewing, her spirit falls. The assurance fades. The strike mood dies because you can't fight that. You can't joke your way out of 9-figure start budgets and Super Bowl ads and Travis Scott beats. You can't post your way past 18 months of design and live model slits and truth that shines through the lens. You can't play the victim when the other individual isn't even striking you. They're just crafting their own world and it happens to be larger than yours. Data don't weep, but pride does. And the web was about to lose its collective mind. Hashtag CCC1 takeover stayed #1 global for 37 hours straight. Not #1 in sport. Not #1 in media. #1 total. Topping political news. Topping fame heat. Topping whatever K-pop groups were building that week. 37 hours of a WNBA newcomer sneaker ruling the global talk. LeBron's IG post, 3 Heat icons, a crown, and the words, "Next generation unique." That's it. No more needed. The leader approved and the world followed. Foot Locker staff started sharing clips of themselves setting up zones in back rooms, protecting CC1 stock like it was mint silver. Area managers sending alerts about safety rules. Web starts selling out in 4 minutes. For minutes. Most Jordan starts last longer than that. And while this buying storm was occurring, while the hype engine was moving at max power, while every sneaker fan and basic buyer and trend follower was trying to grip Clark's sneaker, Wilson's leftover stock got quietly shifted to outlet racks. Nobody shared it. No media note, no formal word, just a quiet moving of stock. One day the I1 was on the prime wood placed near the till costed at full. The next day it was in the discount part with a yellow mark and a 40% off tag. ESPN's First Take was forced to air a 15-minute part on the shoe gap. 15 minutes on a show that usually grants WNBA news 90 seconds between commercial breaks. Stephen A. yelling. Molly Karam trying to lead. Guest experts appearing awkward because nobody desired to be on record hitting on Wilson, but nobody could ignore the data either. WNBA athletes started sharing the zip icon. Just that, no words, no notes, just a global sign for I have views, but I'm not trying to get caught in this fire. Half the league went silent. The other half shared vague, brave quotes about rising higher and remaining focused on the sport. The jokes hit different levels of cruel. Bam Adebayo edited holding the single Wilson sneaker on eBay. Start some 99.0 bids. Wilson's IG Live talk remixed into a music beat. Side-by-side links of Clark's design deck versus Wilson's angry posts with the text. One of these is crafting legacy. The internet showed no pity. And listen, I aren't celebrating anyone's fall. That's not what this is about. But I am recording what transpires when skill meets pride and pride wins. I am seeing what transpires when a victor sells themselves that the crown is risked by luck instead of rivalry. I am viewing in real time the gap between players who build platforms and players who burn them. Wilson possessed every lead, 2 MVPs, a title, years of power, the history that should have made her immortal. But instead of using that base into something lasting, something epic, something that would outlive a playing life, she spent her power fighting a war nobody was asking her to fight. Clark never cited Wilson's name. Not once, not in any talk, any show, any press hall. She didn't require to. She was too busy crafting. And that gap, that basic shift in path was louder than any strike, any shade, any IG talk could ever be. But the largest shock, Nike's board hammer hadn't even struck yet. Walk with me for a moment. Imagine this. Early dawn before the world stirs, before the news will starts moving, before the mobiles start ringing. An empty hoops court, perhaps a high school court somewhere, perhaps a local hall. Doesn't matter where. What matters is the peace, the quiet, the light hitting the wood through those old faded glass. I'm standing at center line alone, pondering everything we just detailed. All the heat, all the sound, all the mess, and I'm trying to grasp what the point actually is, because this wasn't a strike on a victor. Let me be totally clear about that. Aya Wilson merited her spot in basketball archives. Those MVPs are valid. That title is valid. That Olympic honor is valid. Nobody can strip that from her, and nobody should try. The woman can play. The woman can rule. The woman belongs in every talk about the finest to ever do it in the W. But this event, this was a vote on venom. This was a case look in what transpires when you permit fear override power. When you permit envy infect joy. When you spend more power breaking down what someone else is crafting than strengthening what you've already crafted. See, truth beats pride every single time. Not because the world is just. It isn't. Not because good always wins. It won't. But because people can detect the gap. Crowds can feel it. Buyers can tell when someone is real versus when someone is acting. And in the digital world era, that sense is raised to extreme levels. Clark's talk on New Heights worked because it was real. You could tell the way she spoke about the design steps, the way she held that model, the way she detailed wanting children to feel like they received something unique that wasn't ghostwritten. That was grit showing through. Wilson's IG Live didn't work because you could feel the reverse. The tension, the pain, the anger that turned into something bad. And once that venom hits the lens, there's no taking it back. Here's what I want you to weigh. We all possess rivals in our lives. We all possess rivals. Individuals who appear to get chances we desired. Individuals who appear to find luck that should have been ours. Individuals whose gain feels like a personal hurt even when it has nothing to do with us. That emotion is basic. That emotion is human. That emotion has been around since the first 2K cave groups fought for the same fire spot. But what we do with that emotion, that's what names us. We can select labor over hate. We can select crafting over hitting. We can select to spend our power on our own base instead of striking someone else's. Clark said it best in that show. Basic, clean, no fluff. I just wanted children to feel chasing. Chasing like their goals weren't too far. Like the target wasn't impossible. Like someone who began where they began could actually reach to where she is now. That's what she desired her name linked to. Not heat, not mess, not Twitter wars, just children lacing up, feeling like they could reach there, too. That's heritage. That's intent. That's the gap between a spark in the pot and a lasting seal on the culture. I'm placing this Clark P right here on centerline, right on the logo, permitting the light catch the brand. And I'm walking away because the point doesn't need more speech. The point is the sneaker. The point is the steps. The point is selecting what you want your name to signify when the sound dies and the feed moves past, and the only thing left is what you actually crafted. Build something. Mean it. Let the rest of them clash over who gets to break it down. Okay, y'all? That's the whole tale. That's the audit. That's the Raw Street certified, no ESPN corporate proof audit of the shoe clash that inverted women's hoops. Let's recap real fast. 2 players, 2 deals, same chance, one gave into the item, gave 18 months of design, partnered truly with the craft group, crafted something she could back eternally. The other one viewed from the edge, let envy turn into venom, posted herself on digital media, and viewed her sneaker end up on discount racks while the other one cleared out in 4 minutes. The crowd spoke. The followers spoke. Nike's board spoke. And now I'm asking you to speak. Are you getting the CC one when it arrives? Or are you permitting envy tie you up? Send the hoops icon if you're with Clark. Send the bin icon if you think I'm wrong and Wilson got handled poorly. I want to see that reply block ignite. I want to see the clashes. I want to see all fight each other with the same power these two fought each other. Except maybe with better logic and less IG live talk at dawn. If this video landed, if it spoke to you, if it gave you something to bring to the shop next time the talk comes up, hit that like icon. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the alert bell if you desire these audits as soon as they arrive, because next time we go even deeper. I possess data about the secret rule in Nike's deal that could stop future fits, future breaks, future social falls. A rule that grants Nike the power to end this kind of act eternally. A rule that about to transform how player brands work from now until eternally. You aren't going to want to miss it. This been your raw uncle telling you the tales the algorithm don't want you to hear. Peace. I'm out.